Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Byte Happens, the podcast where we explore the incredible tech world, learning from the experts shaping this industry. I'm Flavia Taborga, and today I'm beyond excited to welcome Paulo Orosz. Paulo's been working on integrating robots in our day to day life. We're talking schools, hotels, restaurants, you name it. Paulo, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Hey Flavia, thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate, to open this stage for us to talk about robots.
That's super nice. Okay, Paula, let's start with your story. Can you give us a quick rundown of your career path, where you started,
Okay.
what have you done along the way, and what you're currently working on?
Okay, I could talk 40 minutes about just the start of my life, but let me try to be very straightforward and give you the short version of it. I'm a 22-year veteran on telecommunications.
Wow.
That's pretty much how I built my career. I did pretty much anything and everything on education side of
Hmm.
telecommunication, always in the private sector. About 6 months ago, I decided to do a jump and I get a leap of faith on something that seems to be natural for me, that is going to robotics. And since then, I became part of the Robot Lab system, where we sell and integrate and provide solutions to customers on the nowadays robotics. Not something in the future, something that's real, it's here, and is applicable right now.
That sounds amazing. Let's rewind back to this 6 months you were talking. What pulled you into robotics in the first place? Did you
Okay.
always see yourself ending up in a role like this, or was it more of a happy accident?
I'd say it's a little bit of everything. Give me a little bit of goosebumps thinking about these things. When I was a kid, I'm talking like when I was 4 or 5 years old, I remember that probably the first experience I had with robotics was during Star Wars. Right.
Okay.
So I'm from the generation that we actually watched those movies, in the movie theater,
You
the
saw R2D2 like just
Yes, I C3PO was really
uh,
something that was came to me, but going to R2D2, there was a robot toy called
mhm.
Archer
Okay.
in Brazil. I'm originally from Brazil. Nowadays I live here in the U.S. I'm American citizen, but I'm originally from Brazil, and I remember that robot. That robot was something that, oh my gosh, I really wanted that. I never made it. I never got that robot, but that was something that stick with me.
Hmm.
And I always been curious about anything related with STEAM. I had the dreams about become a mad scientist, right? And to create a cure for aging. And therefore, my grandma would live forever with me, right?
Yeah.
So everything that was related with um, STEM, technology, science always attracted me. When I decide which career I would like to go to college, I was looking to do mechatronics,
Hmm.
to really work on robotics since that time. But for one reason or the other, that did not happen. And I ended up working with a second passion that I had, that was telecommunications.
Hmm.
And I did telecommunications for 22 years,
Wow.
not just here in US, but in another 34 countries. I traveled the world, delivered training, providing services in telecommunication. And after that, I see AI coming, I start to get more engaged with AI, start to work with AI on my previous job. And then suddenly I said, you know what? I wanted to do something on this, but what I'm going to do that's different than
Yeah.
just to do a large language model. And then I saw the opportunity to work with robotics because robotics are real today. And that's how I end up here.
That's so cool. So your childhood dream kind of became true, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a full circle, right? I don't remember what is I remember the symbol, but I don't remember from which um, civilization that came. That it represents the circle of life with a
Hmm.
snake, right? That eventually meets the tail, the head meets the tail. For me, it's something like that. It seems that few things in life they're meant to be, not necessarily in your time, but a time that something superior tell us about. I
That
don't
was
know if
so
it's
cool.
God or if it's universe or is consequence and action, but some of those things they happen for a reason.
That's great. That's great. And Paulo, from what I read about your work, you work on integrating robots in places like restaurants and
Yes,
hotels. That really sounds like sci-fi, but you're literally doing it every day.
yes.
What do these robots actually do?
So if you wanted to do any kind of work, right, that you are demanding an exchange essentially of knowledge versus money, or not, or time versus money, you really need to provide added value for your customer. Okay,
Hmm.
no matter what you do, right? If it's cleaning the floors or flying high in the sky, you needed to provide something that really brings added value that your customer is looking for.
Hmm.
There's a ton of different ways to do the same tasks across the world, right? What we decided to do with the robots, it was to find robots from different manufacturers across the world
Hmm.
that they actually work, that they actually could be operated by a regular person, that do not need a science degree, a computer science degree, or anything like that, that really could fulfill particular functions, right? So the functions that our robots they can fulfill are functions related with cleaning. Normally, I start with this conversation on cleaning because, or what's a Roomba, or you do have a Roomba, right? Or you
Hmm.
do know someone that has a Roomba. And that was kind of the brand name, right? That people start to know about robots. And then people bought that for their homes. So on that field, what we do is we do have commercial, industrial size cleaners, right?
Yeah.
Robots that will do the vacuum, robots that will do sweeping, that will do mopping, dry mopping, wet mopping, etc. That's one line, right? And those are things that are here, are real. They can be deployed pretty much in a few days, couple of days, depending on the size of the place. If we are going to do a warehousing robot, of course, takes a little bit longer to do it. If we are going to do a restaurant, normally it's a 1 day thing. And in that one, today I was in AI event in the morning. I was participating on a panel in a North Texas AI event that we had here in Dallas. And when I entered in this building, surprise, surprise, I saw one of our robots there greeting the customers. It was completely out of the blue because it's not an area that I serve normally. It's not my area of service, so I was not aware about that robot. But when I arrived there, I open a smile, say, look, I know you, right?
Really,
So
yeah.
it's is a customer service robot, right? That has the functions and was used to the functions that should be of provide repetitive information that anyone that we arrive on that location would ask. So I arrived. Pepper, that's the robot, salute me, and I had a quick chat with Pepper as I normally do in the office, and it's all good. On top of that, security is another aspect that robots can be very useful.
Hmm.
Wayfinding. Some robots can help you to find a product in a hardware store, for example. I don't know where that faucet is. You show the faucet to a robot. If the robot is integrated in that way, robot will be able to help you to find. So there's several different applications. Again, we can talk about 3-4 hours
Yeah.
on each one of them if you want.
Yeah, I assume that's cool. It's cool that you had this real life experience of like,
Yes,
oh, this is us, and you get to
yes.
be on the other side of like a customer.
Like a customer of my customer.
Exactly.
And again, as I said on the previous topic, if we are solving a problem, the technology is not just a gimmick. The technology is a transformation tool. That's
Yeah,
how I see it.
that's great. Great. And Paulo, you mentioned that your customers may not always have experience dealing with robotics or like a
Oh yeah,
strong tech background. How
yes.
much of your job is education versus deployment?
I would say that the first part of my job is not even deployment. It is really assessing the need of the customer and how that robot will work on the same workflow or a simplified workflow than what they have today.
Hmm.
If we bring technology just to show you that you are tech as a gimmick, as novelty, I don't know if it's going to be a long life. right? A
Correct.
lot of times, what we see in digital transformations is someone has a brilliant idea to deploy a new software that is solving a problem, but the producer of that software or the creator of that product don't have hands-on experience about how that restaurant is going to work
Yeah,
or how that secured firm is going to work, right? And then in the end, they are not able to work on their workflow. So the first thing is we need to understand if our robots can work on the workflow. If they can work in the workflow, great. We will be able to provide a solution, right? Someone may say, "Hey, Paulo, I need two robots. I need one robot to clean and another robot to guide someone to their seat. Can I get a cleaning robot and put a screen on the top, and while is cleaning the floor, guides the person?" No, that's not what we do. That's absolutely not our intention. Our intention is to do it with a purpose. Cleaning robot, we do a great work cleaning. Um, you may say that the robot is somewhat dumb because only do one function, but that's the function that will do way better than human beings, for example, right? Whereas a great hostess or a hoster, right, will be able to guide you better, get the proper human touch that you want in a restaurant, right? So
yeah.
robots not here to substitute everybody and everything. It's pretty much to act on tasks that are repetitive in a more than that tasks that people don't want it to do anymore.
That's great. That's great. And thinking about this that you mentioned is like robots are here not to replace anyone. Um, I imagine that the tech side is one challenge, like developing the software,
Yes,
hardware, integrating,
yes.
but getting people on board must be a whole other challenge. Am I
Oh, it
right?
is. It is. You're right. You're right. I will give you an example. This robot that I mentioned to you, Pepper, it's a robot that is in the market for a while. And we have a customer that actually bought this robot well back in time, way before my time in robotics. And this robot, for some reason, ended up in a closet. Why that robot ended up in a closet? Because the person that was looking to use that robot,
Hmm.
looking to do the tech revolution with that robot, eventually left that particular job, eventually left that particular organization, and didn't have a particular task
Hmm.
or a function that that person was solving with the robot
Hmm.
was really a gimmick at that point, right?
Yeah.
So probably that organization or the culture of that organization was not ready for a robot. Or as I mentioned before, the ways of working, right? The standard operation model for that particular organization didn't embrace the robot, or the robot was not the proper one for that model. One of my partners in business actually visit this hotel, right? And figure out about that, work with the new person there. And that robot probably was in the closet for 3, 4 years easily.
Wow.
Yes. And it's a big investment. You cannot let something like that just sitting, right?
Yeah.
So help them make it work again. And then eventually that robot is functionally and working the way that's supposed to be in a way of working off that establishment. So
Yeah.
when we work in those ways and you see and you show for people that are around you that they take value out of the robots, they will embrace the robots. The other thing that we notice is that robot needs to be part of the team, right? It's not like a team of humans, a team of robots.
Hmm.
It's all
Okay.
together. We are in one together place, right? So the parallel that I can give it to you is there was a moment that horses have been substituted by cars,
Yeah.
right? And I bet a lot of people said, "Oh my gosh, what's going to happen when these machines will take over?" Right?
Yeah.
Can you live without a car today? Probably not,
Yeah.
right? That help us, right, advance our civilization. I think that robots will have the same impact, but you need to embrace it, right? And you only will embrace if it makes sense. If you don't have roads for the cars are not going to work. Probably horses or donkeys are going to be way better. But if you start with, hey, there's a place for the robot here, right? So there's a place for the robot to a refuel station for water, right?
Yeah.
For the robot to have a clean water to go there and do their task without a lot of human intervention, right? You really solve a problem. Now, if you needed to, every time that a robot do something, take all the water by hand and put all the new water there, then probably you're not really solving a problem.
Yeah,
You're
you're making
just
it.
you're moving one type of a problem to another bucket, right? Literally
Yeah,
another bucket, right? And I believe that is the reason that sometimes the adoption is not there, right?
yeah.
You needed to include the people that we work on the robotics, on the ways of work and the best solutioning. If I just give to you a solution, you may not like it. If you bring you as part of the solution, the human in the loop, right? And
Yeah,
not just the robot taking care of the whole thing,
yeah.
then you probably are going to embrace it and you're going to use as a great tool. We needed to look them as this: AI, robotics, any kind of a new technology, a tool to make better our lives, our customers' lives as well.
And I love your approach where you um convey that robots or an AI or every tech available today is like tools, because
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people still have somewhat of resistance, somewhat of like fear towards
Yes.
this
I
for
have
example
this. I
robots.
receive that question every single time I speak about robots. Oh my gosh. I would tell you this. I think it's a little bit of a pop culture
Hmm.
influence, right? I will give you an example. 2 years ago, way before I think about robots again, I did a travel with my family to Japan.
Hmm.
And in Japan, one of the big challenges that they have in there is scarcity of a people to work, right? So those entrance jobs and things like that, they don't find a lot of people to work on those jobs. We are starting to see that here in the US as well. Unfortunately, every single hotel that I go, if I have a chance to talk with a property manager of the hotel, normally my first question to them will be, are you understaffed? And why? And the
Great.
answer is yes. And the why could be related with several different things. Maybe they don't find the people. Maybe the turnover is too high. I worked before with tower climbing. The turnover in tower climbing for us was 100% every year. So 700 people that we hired every year, 700 people in average will leave.
Wow.
So there's a lot of situations like that make those businesses less efficient, right? Because every time that you needed to hire, you incur in costs to find a resource um, to develop the competence, et cetera, et cetera. When I was in Japan, I saw these robots, the same pepper and field water robots, right, in hotels that I was, and it was a natural thing. There was no the robots would take over the word type of scenario because the robots were there to solve a particular problem. There was a
Yeah,
job, there was no people to go there and work in those jobs anymore,
that's
right?
great.
So again, I feel that if the robots are solving problems, people will embrace them the same way that I embrace my Roomba.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't have a Roomba. I have another brand. I have a brand called Dream that I like better. But, it's just personal preference. But in the end, if they're solving problems, people will embrace it. We saw that in certain organizations, they actually named the robots, and they actually like the robots. They refer to the robots by the names, and I feel that became part of the crew, and that happened a lot in hotels where the cleaning crew, they were not having time to do a full vacuum
Hmm.
on the corridors, so they were doing just a touch up every single day because they were understaffed. So in order to clean the rooms, they had to not pay a lot of attention on the corridors, right?
Yeah.
Now they can do a better cleaning on the rooms, whilst the robots are cleaning the aisles, right, the corridors.
Yeah, that's
So
amazing.
that's the way I think we are going to break that. But it's a lot related with pop
Yeah.
culture, and it's not going to get better because Hollywood knows that will drag your attention, right? Those
Yeah.
type of stories will drag your attention. There's a new movie, The Wild Robot,
Oh,
right?
I've seen it.
You've
Yes.
seen it? The robot, interacting with the nature, right? And even become somewhat the parent
Yeah.
of a duck, right?
Yeah.
On that movie, you can see both sides of the situation as any technology, right? Any technology that's developed can be used for the good and for the bad. I'm a firm believer that it's more used for the good, in average, all the technologies that we developed, than for the bad.
That's great. And Paulo, your experience, what makes a robot feel more approachable to people? Is it the design? Is it the voice? Is it the behavior? As you said in this movie, for example, the robot is very approachable, has like
Yeah.
a happy face.
Yes.
What are these things that make them approachable?
There's a word in English that was, if I do not mispronounce it, is uncanny. It's
Okay.
the uncanny feeling, right? What's
Hmm.
uncanny feeling? Normally, if it's something looks too human, superhuman, you have a kind of weird feeling that, oh, this is not right, right?
Yeah.
Um, what I have seen is if it looks too much as a human, people will have that feeling and somewhat trying to push back. But in the same way, it seems that people love the eyes. So most of
Mm.
our robots, they do have screens, and normally when they are executing functions like cleaning or something like that, they have a eyes and
They
a
blink.
mouth. They blink, right? Most of them they do have sensors and cameras that can detect your presence, so they tend to blink. We do have a robot called Bellabot that
Uh-huh.
has a cat face,
Wow.
right? So cat ears and a smile like a cat. If you pet it, it likes it, right? And but if you pet it too much, it says no. I'm not
Stop
here to be petted,
it.
right? I'm here to do my work. So I feel that with time we are going to see more and more form factors. The form factor that is generating a lot of hype right now is humanoid format, right? There's a race to the humanoids, and there's a reason for that, Flavia. The reason is because the world that we live is for bipeds, right? We develop every single thing in our buildings and everything else to the bipeds. People that unfortunately cannot walk,
Hmm.
they have some difficulties, right? And we needed to do what? Accommodations, right? So the reason for the rush to the biped robot, right, to the humanoid robot, is exactly to have robots that can do exactly the same things in the same way that humans will do. Would that be the most efficient way to clean the floors? Not necessarily. Therefore, there will be different robots in different circumstances for different applications.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's good. Paulo, looking over the last decade, maybe it feels like robots have become a lot more common.
Yeah.
What do you think has changed to make them more accessible? And do you see this trend continuing?
Okay. Yes, definitely became more accessible, more available. I would say
Hmm.
available maybe is the right word. I think that the work that a few processing chipset companies
Hmm.
done in the last 10 years have revolutionized not just robotics, but computation power in general. NVIDIA is one of the big ones, right? AMD, there's a few others, Intel and others that are developing that. Also, the development of ChatGPT or OpenAI, right? Everything that entails related with that, and other technologies related with how a machine can learn, have create a environment where something that was difficult to do before, that was the processing of a multiple inputs of data, became more. It's not easier. I don't think it's easier. It's
Hmm.
just faster and more accessible because the overall cost of chipsets and things like that, going down every year, right?
Yeah.
There's something called Moore Moore law. I think that's right,
Uh-huh.
right? That talks about how quickly we can evolve, right? Every so often, the computational power double. Now we are law more square, so it's way faster
Oh.
at the current era that we are than 10 years ago, and it
Hmm.
maybe go even faster than that. I would say that probably in the next 5 years, you're going to start to see other things that are unimaginable today.
Wow.
Things like, for example, maybe a plumber bot, right?
Mm.
A robot that, you know, will arrive at your home with a plumber. And maybe the plumber is going to be the person that will assess the job and, hey, I do have years of experience looking for different solutions, and I have a creative thinking about how to do it. But now, who is going to actually do all the welding and everything else is going to be a
The
robot
robot.
following the instructions of that person.
Yeah, that's insane. I'm very excited towards what can come in
Uh,
the next few
Flavia,
years.
I think we, although we need to recognize that we still have wars, we still have famine, we still have issues, right, among us. When we think about all the evolution that we did in the last 200 years, we probably are in the best age of the humanity, right?
Right.
We are probably living already among people that will live 150 years. We probably already living among people that are going to travel to another planets, or at least to the
Yeah.
moon again, right? And we will live that. And I think robots are a big part of that, of this
Yeah.
future.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. I remember even like when I was a kid, everyone was talking about oh flying cars and like robots will be around us. So I
Yeah.
think we're not very far away
Let,
from that.
let me tell you one thing funny about when I was a kid. I always have been, tech driven, STEAM, science fiction guy. I remember watching 2001 Odyssey on the Space with my dad when I was a kid. And I watched a lot of Star Trek. I'm not a huge Star Trek fan, but I loved to watch Star Trek I loved when I was a kid. Still watch sometimes, mainly the TV series. And I remember that they had a communication device, right, that they could carry with them, right? That was in the shape of a watch. I see one on your on your wrist right now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember that when I was a kid, I was in a parking lot of my school back in Brazil, and I don't know why we are having this conversation, me and another kid, and I said, "Hey, one day we are going to have telephones in our wrists as a watch." And it's not my idea. Come on, I saw that in a movie, and I felt that was possible. And do you are you familiar with The Simpsons,
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
TV show? So someone like Nelson, right? That is the guy that say, "Uh-huh," right? Pointed to me and said,
No.
"Nerd, that will never happen," And here we go, right?
And now
30
it's
something
actually
years
available.
later, that's actually available as a consumer technology, right?
Yeah.
That's what really attracted me to get into this field now, because it became real.
Yeah.
What we are talking about here is not something that is a gimmick. It's something that's here and is usable, and it can be, just utilized any day,
It's
right? It's,
happening.
it's happening. It's just a
Yeah.
matter to find what's the best fit for your need.
Yeah. And like for small business owners or maybe
Hmm.
medium sized, are there any misconceptions about affordability or
Yes.
complexity? Like, is it too complex for my business?
All the above.
Uh
All
huh.
the above. I'm a lot of times I go to chambers of commerce. I go to events of any kind that I believe I can be a positive influencer. I go to the high level one. Today we were talking about policies, right? I went to an event here. We were talking about policies. In the same way, I go to events where we talk about robots to kids, right? So all the above. When we talk about the tech, a lot of people think that it's too complex. One of the things that we show when we do demos, which by the way are free, my only advertisement on the whole program,
For sure.
yes, they are. We invite the owners and the people that are going to work together with the robots to help us when we are doing the demo implementation. So they can see that of course, we needed to have some knowledge. We go through a very specific training that show us how to do things at Robot Lab. But in the same way, it is not something that is computer science, as I'm telling you, right?
Hmm.
My son is start to work with me, and he's learning, and he will be able to help me to deploy robots, and he is in the 10th grade, right? So
Wow.
it is not something that it's completely out there. in terms of technology. When we talk about affordability, a lot of people believe that is super expensive. And there's different robots for different applications. When we're talking about cleaning, it could go way high, right?
Hmm.
150, $200,000 for a robot, but that's a special robot that will work in a special scenario. When
Yeah.
we talk about, a robot just for vacuum a corridor of a hotel, something like that to start around $7,000.
Hmm.
So it is not super unaffordable, right? And not just us, but other companies too. They have other ways to do the business. You don't need to do just a straight buy. You can actually rent. You can lease. You can lease it to one. There's different ways of approaching that issue. But when you take a look, that a lot of the companies they are understaffed, and
Yeah.
they are not. They cannot afford to hire someone that will cost for them, depending on the state, depending on the country that you live, something between $10 and $12 an hour. You probably can get a robot for $20 to $40 a day.
Wow.
So when you start to think about that, it's something that really can happen today.
Yeah.
And again, I don't see this as a way to remove people from the jobs that they have today, but to really to liberate them to do other parts of the functions that the company needs. Because again, as I'm telling you, most of these companies are understaffed today. They
Yeah.
just cannot afford to have more help.
Yeah, that's great. Um, Paula, let's talk about another tech boom in the past few years. You
Okay.
were in a convention this morning. AI. What's
Yeah.
your view on integrating AI into robotics? Do you see this integration as essential nowadays, or are there industries where traditional robots might actually perform better?
So when we talk about AI, there's different approaches for AI, and by all means, I'm not an expert on everything. So, audience, pardon me if I say something that it doesn't is not specific to the detail level that maybe you work with today. But the way that I see this is we do have different levels of AI in each one of the robots that we sell today. Okay, and there's a continuous evolution of that. The first cleaning robot that I personally had in my home was from a brand called Niato.
Hmm.
And that particular robot had a LiDAR. It was the very first time I saw a LiDAR in a robot. That is one of the possible ways to detect objects and detect what's in front of you. And they claimed that they were way better than the competition because of that. Okay.
Mm.
Today, if you go to try to buy a robot, cleaning robot to do cleaning in your home, each one of them they're going to claim a different type of intelligence, right?
Yeah.
And all those intelligences are pertinent to the task of cleaning. So some of them are going to say, look, we are going to do the best mapping. Some of them are going to say, because we have the best cameras, we have the best sensors. Some of them, they will do that during mapping, but they were not avoiding obstacles during the task, the execution of the task.
Right.
I do have two robots. The old one that is upstairs in my home, and the new one that's downstairs. The old one that's in my upstairs actually bumps in all the walls,
Mm.
because it used the old technology that hey, I should stop and change direction if my bumper touches a hard surface. That was the intelligence at that time.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you ask me, is that a dumb robot? I would say it's not completely dumb because has some way to interact with the system around it, right? The
Yeah.
newer one actually can detect if someone is moving in front of it, so we'll never bump. It will detect if there's any kind of a new thing in a particular location, and we'll try to get as close as possible, and we'll never bump. But do I need a ChatGPT on that robot? No, right?
Probably not.
But when we talk about Pepper, the other robot I mentioned to you before, Pepper is a robot that was developed about 10 years ago and had some, new versions of it during the time. But if you think about it, it's a 10-year-old robot that evolved.
Hmm.
Today, Robot Lab integrated ChatGPT on Pepper. Why we did that on Pepper? First, because it's a humanoid robot. So people will talk with a humanoid
Yeah.
robot. people are not going to talk, or I hope they do not talk with a vacuum. If they talking with a vacuum, they may need something else, right?
Run. Yes.
Yes, run from that person, right?
Yeah.
But when we're talking about a humanoid robot that is going to do customer service, having a functionality of having a large language model behind it that can help you to increase the capability of a natural conversation is key. So on a robot like that, yes, some level of a more advanced AI is
Hmm.
welcome, right?
That's
Now,
great.
if you go to a complete um, AI setup where a robot has conscience, the robot has full capabilities to understand everything and execute on that. I don't know if we ever will have that.
Hmm.
If we do, I think we'll take a little while. I think we'll
Yeah.
take a little while.
Yeah, that's actually what's happening in Hollywood, right? It's like
Oh yeah,
they start getting this consciousness and this emotion, and then like
yes,
that's when it gets scary.
yeah. Again, I think that to replicate something that's organic with zeros and ones, with binary numbers, I think that's a little bit more difficult than if it was organic. Um, Maybe in the future, with we are going to have some symbiosis, right, between us and
Yeah.
robotics, and we are going to become some kind of a mid a hybrid. That's the word, a hybrid. And maybe that's something we may see, right? Superhumans empowered by robotics
Yeah.
functionalities. I don't know. Maybe that's something that Hollywood needs to explore a little bit more.
Let's see. Let's see.
Yes,
Paulo, reflecting on your overall career journey, you worked across various countries. You're telling me
yes.
how important is it to understand the people behind the business before
Oh,
selling them a robot first?
I would tell you this: no matter what you do in life, if you are not solving somebody else's problem, you are not going to be successful,
No.
right? No matter if you are the one that is driving ice cream car or the one that is developing AI, if you're not solving somebody else's problem, you're not going to, last very long.
Yeah.
And therefore, you need to understand the other side. You really need to understand the other side. You need to understand what's the meaning of that particular task, job, function, or the final product that they are expecting, and what that really means to them, right?
Yeah.
So I can tell you that, hey, a robot will clean your floors, right?
Yeah.
It's something meaningful. Come on,
Yeah. It's
who
like
does
it's a
not
me
want to
time.
have a clean floor, right?
Yeah.
But what it really means to you, right? It means freedom because probably you can close your restaurant 1 hour earlier every day, or
Yeah.
at if you close at 9, you can say goodbyes to everybody at 9. Everybody goes home, and then the robots start to clean,
Yeah.
right? As an example. So that means 1 extra hour with your kids, with your son, your daughter, with your significant other, or just at your home watching a nice movie on Netflix,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So what that really means to you. I think that a lot of times anyone that works not just with technology but with services and products in general, we miss the mark when we try to fulfill our dreams, the dreams of those ones that are producing the tech, without hearing the customers, without hearing the people that will use the tech. I feel that no matter what you do, I did silk screen in my life. I used to do t-shirts, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people back on my college, they know me because of that. Oh, who you are again? Oh, you are the guy that sells shirts. Say yes, 35 years ago, right?
Yeah.
But no less. I'm not that old yet. But it is really that. What's the problem you are solving, and you are solving something that's meaningful to the receiver, the other
Yeah.
end of that equation.
Yeah. You need to understand the
Yes.
problem.
And that's not about being in US or in India, in Brazil or in China. That's a universal thing.
Yeah.
If you're solving something to others, you're going to be successful. If you are not solving something to others, you're not going to be.
Yeah. That's a great lesson. Paulo, I read that you also coach robotic teams for kids. Am I right?
Oh, I did that. I did that. I did that. It's not something that I'm actively doing it,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel that we needed to pay forward.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even pay back, you know. A lot of times it's pay forward. You need to find things that you uh, can be good for your community and
Mm-hmm.
go there and provide it. It could be, in my case, I did that before I end up working on robotics.
Wow.
Yes. So one day, ERG, Employee Resource Group of my previous company, the African American ERG, I used to be part of every single ERG, even if I'm not specific from that community, because I believe that's the best way for us understand each other
Mm-hmm.
is, be on somebody else's shoes.
Yeah.
And this friend of mine, Major Green, was organizing um, this mentoring, coaching of robotics for kids in underserved schools. And I said, you know what? I want to do it. What do you need me to do it? I do it, right? I wanted to go there. I wanted to be part of it. I wanted to make sure that I have a purpose in life. I think that's something that a lot of people today are losing it. And maybe is one of the big challenges. The big challenge is not being substituted by a robot on cleaning the floors, is to make sure that you have a purpose in life,
That's great.
you
That's
know?
great.
And I was looking for that purpose in life. I'm looking still for that purpose in life every single day, right? Part of that is grow my kids, right? Part of that is make sure that my family is happy, my wife is happy, I'm happy, right? Even if happiness is just a glimpse of moment that you worked for very long, right? Um,
Yeah.
uh, Having a good time with my mother, with my sister, right? My niece and everything and everybody else. My dog, I love my dog Sisa, right? So it's a lot about that. Now, why you don't do this for people that you do not know? If each one of us do a little bit, doesn't matter if it's robotics or culinary class, you will be doing something important for someone. In coming from a family of educators, my mom was a school teacher that became a principal, became a school teacher
Wow.
again, and nowadays she is 75 years old, and she sometimes still do things related with education. Education always has been part of my life. I always like to teach, and when you get something that put together passion that you have,
Mm-hmm.
competence that you have in a serving a community or somebody or someone that needs that help, that's not a job, that's a calling,
Yeah.
right? So when you find those things, I think you bring more pleasure to your life. You get way more than what you give. That
Yeah.
I think what really excites me on
Yeah.
situations like that.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I love that. I love that. Do you feel like you've learned something from the kids that you
Oh, all the
coached?
time.
Yeah.
All the time, all the time, all the time, all the time. So again, right now I'm not doing it. I supposed to do something tomorrow, but unfortunately I will not be able to do. We will do it in another time. But I feel that every time that you see that kid with that spark on the eye, it's something weird. It happens a little bit here on the corner. You can see when they have that aha moment that
Mm-hmm.
may be able to transform their lives.
Yeah.
And then not just for kids, for anyone that's learning something. I have those aha moments myself several times. So I'm always pursuing that blinking on the eye, right?
Yeah.
That's something that for me is very important.
Yeah, that's so inspiring. So inspiring. All right. Last question, Paulo. If
Yeah.
someone is listening and it's like, I want in on this world of robotics, but I'm not an engineer, what
Okay.
would you tell them? Is there a way into robotics for people
Hmm.
who are more business minded, creative,
Yeah.
curious? What kind of roles could they be looking at?
Oh, in terms of roles, in terms of job roles, I would say this. I'm a big believer on education system, right? I know a lot of people don't believe in colleges anymore and everything like that. And the reality is not everybody can afford the time or the money to go to a college. But most of us, we do have time that we spend on social media, we spend on watching TV, or even, reading something for fun, that you really can go online today and you can learn a lot on free platforms, right? About not just robotics, but about several different types of technologies.
Yeah.
I love certifications. I think there's different ways to do certifications in order to be more tech savvy. If you really wanted to go into the tech world, I wanted to learn how to, I don't know, create an app, right? Of course, you can ask today ChatGPT or Claude or Anthropic, right? Claude
Yeah.
or Manus or any of the large language models or very specific ones too, to help you to do something. But in that case, how much you are really doing versus the machine doing, right? I think that's important that you understand what you are doing. Not necessarily you needed to know all the caveats related with how a semicolon is going to work on this programming
Yeah.
or not, right? That's not the point. The point is to understand the logic. And there's a lot of a good training that anyone can consume for free on the internet. Look for Microsoft, look for NVIDIA, look for Google, and many others, right? If you wanted to pay a little bit, Udemy, and other platforms there, they really can help you to get your feet wet, but do something.
Yeah.
You know,
Start.
put put a. I remember someone telling me this when I was having my 9 to 5 job, right? That was, um, you are not wrong of how's that? You're not wrong of dedicated to the job that you have, right? You can go there and you can do things. You must do things in order to receive your money at the end of the month, right? Receive your salary at the end of the month. You need to perform well. You need to do the things in the way that your company expect you to do, or even more than what they expect you to do if you want it to be above and beyond and grow in your career. But you
Yeah.
needed to invest the time in yourself. And that investment, that extra hours, is not to your employer to provide. It's on you. And today with internet, today with ChatGPT, today with all these platforms that are there free, if you're not learning, you are the one in fault.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
somebody else. It's not your boss. It's you.
Yeah.
You really needed to, pull your shirt and your um, and go there and do the things that you're supposed to do today that would be good for you, good for your family, and stimulate others to do the same, right?
Yeah.
Do not sit and complain. The time that you sit in complaining about why the things are not happening to you, somebody else is using to learn a new technology, to learn a new art, to
Yeah.
learn how to sing, to learn how to play an instrument. Do something with your life. Life is too short to sit in front of a cell phone just scrolling. The
Yeah.
cell phone should work for you and not the other way around.
Yeah. Use it as a tool once
We use
again.
it as a tool once again.
Yeah. Great. Great. Paulo, I really appreciate you being here. This was a great conversation,
Oh,
insightful,
Flavia, thank you.
inspiring, full of real world experiences. This really made feel robotics a lot more human and a lot less like science fiction. Where can our listeners learn more about your work?
So I'm in pretty much every single network,
Mhm.
social network. They can follow me there. So in Instagram, you can find me as Robot Guy DFW.
Mhm.
In LinkedIn, that's where I publish the most. You can find me as my name, Paulo Orosz. You can follow me. You can add me as well. I'm more than happy to have conversations with anyone that wanted to know more about it. And the same on Facebook. I'm on Facebook too with public networks there. I'm starting on TikTok, but I'm not very good on dances. So, I don't know if I'm going to do that much. And also, you can check it out, our robots, in our site, robotlab.com.
Nice, nice. Thank you very much, Parlo. And that's a wrap on this episode of Byte Happens. If you like this, make sure to subscribe, follow us, leave a review, or send it to a friend who's still scared of robots. Trust me, they're not here to replace us. Paulo helped us learn that they're here to help. Until next
Thank you.
time, because Byte happens.